Hello, I'm Breen, President of ISA, and welcome back to the channel. What does it mean to have a lifetime of achievement? There are many individuals in the industrial channel who have had rewarding careers, but today we're talking about those that have truly made an impact. We're talking about the distinguished recipients of ISA's highest honor, the John J. Buckley Lifetime Achievement Award. 1 year ago, we had the pleasure of spending time with the 2021 winner, Jack Schron, on site at the Juergens facility in Ohio. If you want to revisit that great American manufacturing success story, take some time to go back and watch the episodes on the ISA website. But today, I get the pleasure of walking you through another fantastic story. I sat down with the 2022 recipient of the John J. Buckley Lifetime Achievement Award, Karl Weiler of Weiler Abrasives. Weiler also made ISA headlines in recent years for winning the ISA Innovation Impact Award. But today we'll hear about the growth of a company from a chicken coop to a global brand. We'll learn about the uniqueness and strength of a family business, their dedication to their local community, and their commitment to building a strong culture for their valued employees. Lastly, we'll tap into the wisdom gained over Karl's lifetime of achievement, how he leaned into the opportunities, and how we can all build the confidence to pursue our own defining moments. Let's get started. Before Karl and I sat down to talk, I wanted to better understand the story of a small German brush company and how it grew to the company it is today. So Karl, tell me where we are right now.
Well, we're at Weiler's History Wall in Cresco, Pennsylvania, in our Cresco facility. The Joseph Weiler Company is a company my grandfather started in 1898, and what I like to point out to people is the Germans love long words, so there's an abbreviation here, GEGR, 1898, and that's the abbreviation for the German word gegründet, which means founded in 1898. These are the products that were manufactured by the Joseph Weiler Company beginning in 1898 for the jewelry industry, which was headquartered then in Pforzheim, Germany, and to this day jewelry is being manufactured in Pforzheim. So this is another interesting piece. This is my father's master's diploma. Again, as I said, the Germans like these long words, so Bürstenmacher Handwerk translates into brush making trade. So he received his diploma as a master in the art of brush manufacturing in 1926. The other interesting part of the story is that Weiler, when my father started the Weiler Company in 1944, it actually started in a converted chicken coop. So this is the house that I grew up in. Here's a picture of the house. My bedroom was up here. And attached to this piece here, this picture is probably around 1938. Behind that was a chicken coop. And then these are some of the first customers that my father had. Interestingly, the Paul H. Geswine customer was his first account, basically a company that focused on the brushes and materials used in the manufacturing of jewelry. And the first two products that my father started manufacturing for this company, we still manufacture to this day. Here's a picture of my father. This is 1951, working in a lathe. He was an accomplished tool maker, and there's a picture of me at age 13 working on a bandsaw cutting up products. So I grew up essentially on the plant floor, grew up in the business, learned how to use tools and hand tools and power tools. This then is now the launching of the plant here in Cresco. The story I like to tell is in 1954, my father realized that continuing to grow a manufacturing business on Long Island was probably not the ideal thing to do because you had to go through that bottleneck of New York City, bringing raw materials in, finished product going out. So in 1954, he purchased 40 acres here in Cresco for $8,500, and then ended up building this building here, which was 8,000 square feet, and we've added on to that building many times since then, and we're now 250,000 square feet of our headquarters here in Cresco. And then this is the four generations. My grandfather, Joseph Weiler, father, Karl E. Weiler, myself, and my son, Chris, who's now our CEO.
We spent quite a long time at the History Wall hearing old anecdotes, funny stories, and interesting details about the growth of the company. The story of Weiler Abrasives, the company, is the story of the Weiler family. Like many of the companies in our channel, success across generations does not come without intention and great leadership. My time at Weiler also afforded me the opportunity to sit down with two great leaders to learn more about their company, their culture, and the moments that have helped shape the success of the company. I am here at Weiler Abrasives in Cresco, Pennsylvania. Beautiful facility nestled in the heart of the Poconos. And I'm here today with Chris and Karl Weiler. Today, the reason why we're here is to present Karl with ISA's highest honor, the ISA John J. Buckley Lifetime Achievement Award. So sincerely, I'd like to congratulate you, Karl, on winning this award, and congratulate Weiler on all of your success. You know, this is a family business, and family businesses are not without their challenges. They're not without their uniqueness. 4 generations is a rare thing these days. How did you make this work?
That's a good question. I think when Chris's generation, the G3s as we call them, they spent much more time. Business was much smaller, had exposure to it in a different way. When Chris took over in 2008, we'd had an interim president running the business on a day-to-day basis, and I said to Chris, you know, I've been a chief all my life. I said, I think I can be a good Indian as well. I said, however, you may find that the Indian strays from time to time, so that when he does, you'll want to bring him back in line, but when you do that, remember he's also your father.
I think what sustains any business, and I think it sometimes feels harder in family businesses, is risk-taking. So, you know, as businesses get larger, that entrepreneurial spirit, it's about kind of preserving what's been established, and so the challenge is always continuing that underpinning of the entrepreneurial spirit. And so for us, it was really about focusing on end users and being open to taking more risks.
Yeah, and the good part of it is that my confidence in Chris and his team has absolutely paid off.
So how has that impacted the culture?
I always believed that you treated everyone, we refer to all of our people here as co-workers, you treat everyone with dignity and respect, and that's certainly something I learned in the military as well. But I've been a great believer in that, and that to me is a culture that I feel exists here, and you hear it when you see people working and interfacing with one another. You hear pleases and thank yous.
I also know that innovation is a big part. I see it written on the walls. I know that both you and Chris are both passionate. Plus, your company did win the ISA Innovation Impact Award a few years ago. So how does innovation allowed you to have the success that you've had?
Well, we've always been believers in solving the end user's problems in terms of innovating products that are more effective in doing what the end user needs in terms of, regardless of what the applications are, whether it's a deburring application, a metal removal application, and so on. So we have great focus on the end user's needs, and that has driven a lot of the product innovation.
You know, we talk about our 3 C's here: our customers, our coworkers, and our community, and those are our stakeholders. And the Innovation Award really came out of that. That Innovation Award was about our partnership with Workshops for Warriors, and it's a great example of, you know, how we can do more than just be about selling a product to the marketplace, but really provide value to all the stakeholders. So coworkers love the fact that we're involved with supporting veterans. It's a great thing to do for the greater community, and of course, you know, it's attractive. It helps to sell product too. So it really was a great program and a great example of innovation, I think.
After spending a little time with the family, I wanted to get a feel for what it was like to work for Karl and the company. I was able to hear just that right from the mouths of their employees, present and past. Let's take a listen.
So when I think of Weiler, I think of my first week here, actually. The first week that I was here, they opened up the outside deck, and they had a really nice get-together with everybody in the company. And I thought, wow, this is a really great company to work for, that they do things like this. They're very, very family oriented, very good, great culture. Everybody who works here, even being on the other side of an interview, that's something that we look for in employees is how they're going to fit in with the culture.
He's a guy that is clearly putting his family first, willing to roll his sleeves up to do anything for the business, for our customers, and importantly, the community. And makes me proud to be here at Weiler.
He walked up to me immediately, it was my first day, and shook my hand and made me feel at home. And I've always felt at home here. Matter of fact, I cried the day I left here because it was just too emotional with all the good people that are here. And so, but he was a man that had his mind made up on what he wanted to do, that he is a good person.
My favorite part about working here at Weiler, which I came here very young, I was only 22 when I started here. This was the first company that I worked for that I feel like really had an idea of like the bigger picture, maybe like a like social responsibility. You know, it's a big thing for us here, our 3 C's, customers, coworkers, and community. So to just kind of fit in all 3 of those aspects and have that concept of the bigger picture it was great for me. It really, it felt like it was connected to the world. When he comes through, you mentioned he's very hands-on. Literally just yesterday he comes down and he gave me a pretty good lesson about, you know, the carbon content of the wire that we use in our brushes. And it's kind of interesting to me because, granted, I've been here 7 years, so Karl Weiler, you know, is up here, but to have that knowledge of, you know, those minute details of what's going into the products it's very impressive to me, and of course I appreciate it.
It is a very good thing to work here. It has given me a career for the last 49 years, and I feel that I have made a difference. He is very, it may sound really ridiculous to say, but he is inspiring with his dedication to the community. He's a good guy. He's one of the good ones.
So another part of this award, another reason why we give this, it really is 3-pronged, and I think we've talked about 2 of them significantly. Is the first 2 are making an impact on the company that you lead. Clearly you do that. Your presence is felt as you walk around, making an impact on the industry. I think that you've grown this company to be an industry leader and therefore making a very large impact on this industry. But the third, and certainly not the most important, is making an impact outside of the walls of Weiler into your local community. You're obviously a large employer in a relatively small town. Talk to me a little bit about why it mattered to you to make an impact on the community here in Cresco.
Well, certainly the community we're in is one of our stakeholders, and certainly as Weiler as a place of employment is important, but the community has been good to us, and I feel it's very important to give back to the community in many different ways. And I'm very pleased and proud that so many of our co-workers are involved in so many different aspects of not just the local Barrett Township community, but the greater Pocono community in Monroe County, Pennsylvania.
Part of the reason why the community is really important is it's very common now we talk about purpose in companies, and I think for family businesses, purpose is always sort of at the core. And part of the community, of family businesses' purpose can't simply be about earnings and EBITDA, right? It is about the impact you have on all your stakeholders, and the community being one of them. And so I think that's why that's really has always been very important to us, and I would submit to all family businesses. And we get involved in a lot of different ways. I think, you know, the United Way, of course, is a primary way. They are an excellent partner. We get involved with Women's Resources, which is an excellent resource for single mothers that are in need and often in need of urgent care. They're a really important partner and great partner to our community. Poconos is a beautiful area to visit. But there are some systemic problems and that we think we can have a small impact on, and so it's great to be able to be part of that solution and make this a great place to work and live.
To have a lifetime of achievement, one must be able to look back on certain moments in their life that were defining. Moments that formed who they were and how they thought. Ones that shaped the future of their careers and ultimately led to a lifetime of achievement. Karl was kind enough to share his defining moments with us.
As I think back at it, probably there's one defining moment when I was attending Hofstra University where I made the decision to join ROTC to end up graduating and being graduating as an officer in the Army. And that was a good decision for me because after I graduated, I went through the infantry school and learned a great deal about leadership and what effective leadership is. It gave me a lot of self-confidence that I perhaps didn't have as much of as that I would have liked. So that's one. Another defining moment is when I joined the company in the early 60s. My father's chief financial officer took me aside one day and he said, "You know, Karl, your father's done a really nice job in building this business, and you know how to operate equipment. You're familiar with the floor. Try to keep it the size it is, and you can probably have a very nice living from that." I said, "Mr. Daniels, thank you very much." I said, "I don't know that I could have done what my father did, literally starting from scratch when he was 41 years old." I said, what I'd like to do is to see what I can do with it in terms of growing the business from what he has left me, and I've got a good head start as a result of that. So that clearly was, for me, was a defining moment, a decision I made at that time.
Karl's career, as evidenced by the tremendous growth of Weiler Abrasives throughout the years, was undoubtedly full of milestones and accomplishments. But more recently, under the bold leadership of his son Chris, Weiler acquired a large abrasives manufacturer in Slovenia with the goal of widening their product focus and increasing their growth potential.
So talk to me a little bit about this pursuit in Europe. Is this Chris's defining moment?
I hope to have more defining moments. It was definitely a defining moment, and I think that moment really came with very similar to Karl's story is I also came into this business and saw a really great company with really fantastic roots, but also an opportunity to do more. And so by bringing in some really talented people to help me, it created this comfort to take a really big risk to essentially go from being what we refer to as Weiler Brush to now Weiler Abrasives, which is really about redefining our market space and essentially going from a big fish in a relatively small pond, market space pond, if you will, to a small fish in a very big pond. And that's a form of risk-taking. It's definitely was a major inflection point for the company, and it's very energizing, really exciting to be a part of, and at times a bit scary, but I think it is certainly for me one of the key defining moments for the business, and there'll be more as a result of that for years to come.
His experience to your defining moment, did it remind you of that?
It did, and it's clearly a very exciting moment to broaden the business base, as Chris indicated. But yeah, absolutely very proud of what he and his team have done.
Yeah, I mean, with so much disruption and evolving end users and a challenging competitive landscape, leaning into these opportunities when they present themselves is certainly something that we hope your story does inspire the rest of the ISA membership and the companies in this channel, is that when these opportunities to meet an inflection point present themselves, that you pursue it. And so I think that this is an excellent example. All these are excellent examples.
So there you have it. A lifetime defined by critical moments. A company that has grown from a chicken coop to a global leader, and a man who believes it is his responsibility to give back. Typically, I would now ask you to consider other leaders for nomination for this award, and please, by all means, do so on the ISA website. But today, I would also ask this audience to draw inspiration from Karl's story. How can you improve the lives of those you work with or the communities you serve? What moments or opportunities do you have in front of you that may define the rest of your life? How would you like to look back over your career? Take a page out of Karl's book, take a risk, and pursue your goals. It pays off. In closing, I'd like to again congratulate Karl Weiler and the entire Weiler Abrasives team. I'd also like to thank the team in Cresco for welcoming me in so graciously. And lastly, I'd like to thank you, Karl, for sharing your inspiring story with me and the ISA audience.
Thank you, Mr. Weiler.
Thanks, Karl.
Thank you, 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 Karl.
Thanks, Karl.
Thank you, Karl.
Thanks, Karl.
Thank you, Karl, and all of you for tuning into this episode of The Channel.